There's a quiet pressure a lot of people carry, and most don't even realize where it's coming from. It's the feeling that everyone else has life figured out, that success is common, that if it worked for them, it should work for you too. You scroll, you listen, you watch, you see the winners, the ones who made it. And slowly, almost without noticing, a thought takes hold. Okay, this must be normal. This must be achievable. So why am I falling behind? What usually goes unseen isn't a lack of effort, or intelligence, or discipline. It's what never makes it into view. The attempts that didn't work, the careers that quietly stalled, the relationships that faded without a story, the projects that never survived the first step. When you don't see those, your mind fills in the gap, and it almost always fills it with self-blame. This is where perspective matters, not speed, not intensity, perspective. The kind that comes from stepping back, from observing without reacting, from training the part of your mind that can sit with reality long enough to see it clearly. Think of it as a wisdom muscle. The more you use it, the less distorted things feel, the less unnecessary suffering you create for yourself. Today we're looking at a mental blind spot that quietly reshapes ambition, regret, confidence, and self-worth. Not to change your life overnight, but to understand it without illusion. There's a name for this pattern. It's called survivorship bias. It's what happens when we judge reality based on the people and outcomes we can still see, and completely forget about everything that quietly disappeared along the way. The mind does this automatically. Because success stories are easy to grab onto, they're clear, they're inspiring, they feel like evidence. They give the impression that a path is reliable, when in reality you're only seeing the ones who made it through. What almost never gets counted are the rest. The people who tried just as hard, made similar choices, followed the same advice, and still didn't make it. We don't fall into this trap because we're foolish, or careless, or unaware. We fall into it because failure doesn't advertise itself. It fades out quietly. It stops posting. It disappears from the story. Success, on the other hand, stays visible. And over time, that imbalance reshapes how we judge what's normal and what we expect from ourselves.
Hey guys, we're Wisdom, based in Abu Dhabi. We use AI tools to make these concepts come to life, but it's our amazing team who goes deep, breaking down powerful philosophical ideas and showing how they really apply in everyday life. We hope you enjoyed today's content.
You see this everywhere once you know how to look for it. Take relationships. You hear couples say, "We never stopped choosing each other." And it sounds simple, almost reassuring. But you never hear from the thousands of couples who said the same thing, right up until exhaustion, resentment, or time wore them down anyway. They don't get interviews, they don't tell their story, they just disappear from view or take identity. We admire people who followed their passion and somehow made it work. We celebrate them as proof, but we rarely meet the people who followed the same passion with the same commitment and now carry a quiet disappointment they don't know how to explain. Not dramatic failure, just a dull sense that something didn't turn out the way they were promised. In work life, it shows up all the time. We study entrepreneurs who never gave up. We frame persistence as the deciding factor. What we don't see are the exhausted ones who also never quit, who pushed just as hard and still failed. And then there's regret. People look back and say, if I had just taken that risk, everything would be different. What's missing is the invisible group who did take the risk and paid for it with stability, relationships, or peace of mind. Survivorship bias quietly flips the script. Rare outcomes start to feel normal. Normal outcomes start to feel like personal failure. And without realizing it, people judge themselves against a reality that was never complete to begin with. If you slow down for a moment, you can see what the mind is really doing. It's trying to protect something: hope, meaning, a sense of control. Because if success stories are enough, then the world feels fair, predictable, manageable. Do the work, make the right choices, get the result, but survivorship bias asks you to face a harder reality. That effort doesn't guarantee an outcome. That intelligence doesn't lock in success. That persistence on its own doesn't always pay off. That can sound uncomfortable at first, but it isn't cynical and it isn't defeatist. It's honest. And the moment you stop judging yourself through a distorted picture of reality, something shifts. The noise drops, the pressure eases, and clarity finally has room to show up. So what do you actually do with all of this? Honestly, nothing dramatic, nothing forced. It's just a few small shifts in how you look at things. First, when you notice yourself admiring someone's success, pause for a moment and just ask yourself how many people tried this and quietly disappeared. Not to discourage yourself, not to talk yourself out of trying, just to widen the picture a little. Second, give yourself a beat before self-blame kicks in, before jumping straight to, "What's wrong with me?" Try asking instead, "Is this outcome actually common, even for capable people?" And then there's the third shift. Hold on to this idea. Results are information. They tell you something about timing, about conditions, about probability. They are not a verdict on your intelligence, or your effort, or your worth. No techniques to master. No pressure to feel different overnight. Just awareness, applied gently and used consistently over time. Over time, something subtle starts to change. Not all at once, not dramatically, but steadily. Understanding survivorship bias doesn't kill ambition. It doesn't make you passive. It steadies you. The urgency begins to fade. The constant pressure eases. The panic that says, "I'm running out of time," starts to quiet down. You stop chasing identity through outcomes. You stop needing results to justify who you are. Wins feel good, but they're no longer proof. Losses hurt, but they're no longer indictments. Decisions start coming from a different place. Less fantasy, less comparison, more probability. You look at paths more clearly. You weigh trade-offs instead of promises. You notice risks that used to be invisible. And when a quieter path makes sense, one with fewer headlines, less validation, but more stability, you take it without shame, without explanation. Your judgment improves because your expectations are finally grounded in reality. Regret loosens its grip because comparison loses its power. You stop measuring your life against outcomes you were never guaranteed to reach. And confidence changes shape. It becomes calmer, less performative, more durable. No longer dependent on beating invisible odds or proving yourself against a distorted picture of success. Just steady, rooted, and harder to shake. Most suffering doesn't actually come from failure. It comes from the story we tell ourselves about it. The belief that it was avoidable. That if you had been sharper, more disciplined, more consistent, things would have turned out differently. Survivorship bias quietly challenges that story. Not by telling you to lower your standards, not by asking you to care less, but by helping you see the full landscape, not just the few outcomes that stayed visible. When expectations line up with reality, self-blame starts to lose its grip. You stop treating every setback as a personal flaw. You stop replaying outcomes that were never fully under your control. And in that space, without forcing optimism, without rewriting the past, something steadier takes over. You become less reactive, more measured, more at ease with uncertainty. You stop fighting yourself, and clarity, slowly and quietly, takes its place.
Thanks for spending time in this. If this sparked a new way of thinking, hit like and subscribe to keep the ideas flowing. And don't forget, check the description for the links to the resources and the original books we used today. We'll see you in the next one.